welcome to another video. Today we are painting and I'm so glad to share this video with you. First of all, because I will admit I have been kind of struggling to just sit down and paint. I'm just not in the right headspace right now, and hopefully this will help me get back into it because it was really enjoyable. So I know also many of you really love these kinds of videos, and yeah, I'm really happy to have one for you. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Irit. I'm a watercolor and mixed media artist. On this channel, I talk about watercolors and I also paint. And that's what we're going to do today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe. I would love to have you here. I'm starting with spraying my watercolors. It's always a great idea to start your sitting or 5 minutes before to spray your watercolors, especially if you're using watercolors that are dry in a palette like I am and not freshly squeezed from a tube, because it allows them to just get kind of juicy, a bit activated, and then you can easily pick up more pigment. I am kind of falling back on some go-to colors and techniques just to make getting back on the horse a bit easier for me. I'm starting with a sketch, a very loose sketch. It's actually not a sketch. I would even say it's the first layer of my painting. This is something I do all the time. I will link you below to all of the supplies that I'm using. I'm starting with the Caran Neocolor 1. These are wax pastels that are not water soluble, and I love using them for the first layer because I can already plan my composition, so I can put that down and then I don't really have to think about it as I'm applying watercolors. I can add some interest, some lines, and I can already establish not just the composition, but I can already establish the areas that will be more the focal point. And the way that I do that is those areas, usually the centers of my abstract florals, have the most color, the most detail, the most contrast. And you can see how right now I'm starting already to do that with applying several colors of the Neocolor one, mostly in that area. So again, when I'll get to the next stage of adding watercolors, I don't really have to think about it. That process is a lot freer and organic, and it's just very natural. So this process works really well for me. And then the last advantage of using these for my personal style and work, the Neocolor one I mean, is that they are water resistant. So it helps the watercolors stay in designated areas because they can't easily flow across the page. They are kind of limited to until they reach the line of the wax pastels. And this is an effect that is harder to accomplish with pencils. I mean pencils that are also not water soluble, because the pencils just don't deposit enough product. And so you don't really get that boundary. So there's no right or wrong. It just really depends on the effect that you want. And the way that I paint, I really enjoy having those kind of those kind of limited areas. I just have like 3 languages running in my brain trying to find Grenze, Hebrew, some German, some English mixed into everything, trying to find the right words. I'm also a bit rusty on narrating videos, so please forgive me. Okay, when it comes to watercolors, thanks to my monthly watercolor stories, and you can check that video, the April color story, I also don't have to think about which colors I want to use. I have a limited color palette that I love, and I can just go there. And the fun of it is to mix colors that are exciting, unique, and also varied. You will see this in pretty much the rest of the video, how I work at creating different shades and applying them to my florals. I think for me, it's one of the main elements and also enjoyable part of painting. And I can't imagine now just painting a whole flower with one, straight out of the tube pink, for example, as much as I love pink. But I am just so much more enjoying this, just creating a range of colors, usually mixed with two colors from my palette. It's usually a pink and a yellow, or pink and my beloved Lucas Naples Yellow Red, which is neglected because it's not in the April color stories. But here I'm actually working with three colors. So the colors that I'm using are my beloved violet Cobalt, or Cobalt Violet. I'm using the Rembrandt version. And to that, I'm adding some quinacridone gold, which currently I have in my palette the Qor version, and you can see how it just takes over the other colors when I add it to the mix. And I also decided, just for intensity, the problem is with Cobalt Violet is that it's just not a very intense color. The value of it, and also because of the consistency, you kind of have to work hard to add a lot of color. And even with maximum intensity, it's still not like a super dark intense color. And my bright rose, my beloved bright rose by Holbein is just a much more intense color. So I decided to add that also to the mix. The beauty of these particular mixes, and you saw close-ups at the beginning, and I will show you them again at the end, and you can see also now on screen on the kind of middle flower that is on the right side of my painting, you can already see that incredible granulation that you get from using the Cobalt Violet, or that I got from using the Cobalt Violet. And this is where I can't stress this enough. If you want to create exciting color mixtures, first of all, choose colors that you love, because that will, you're already starting from a good place. But try to play with colors that have different qualities. So for example, mixing a color that is semi-opaque or opaque with a transparent color. And then definitely, I always love granulating colors. So add a granulating color to, or granulating paint to one that is transparent, or one that separates to one that doesn't. And those mixtures, if you already start with interesting pigments and paints, then your mixtures will, not only will they be really, really lovely and interesting, but they will also be more unique. And I really think, for me, color is so important, and I just really enjoy seeing my paintings and then kind of, I know which colors I used, but I can look at them and I can recognize, especially when you start getting into the semi-muted and neutral colors, that it's like a guessing game. I don't know which color it is, because those are such unique mixtures. And not unless, again, there's no right or wrong here, but to me, sometimes it's a little bit disappointing if I see someone else, or even my own artwork, and I can say, okay, this is French ultramarine, this is quinacridone rose, this is quinacridone gold. And while I love all those three colors, there's something about those mysterious mixtures, those unique colors, exactly like the mix that I got using quinacridone gold and Cobalt Violet, that just, it's an extra value, like added value to me, to look at the painting and see these colors and kind of, just enjoy the uniqueness of them. So that's how I see it. Of course, you are free to think whatever you want, but I really feel like all that time spent mixing, playing really pays off when you create a piece of artwork that has kind of your color signature. And of course, together with your choice of subject, your choice of other supplies, your brush, and just, you know, the way that your hand moves and whatever it is you're painting, it creates a unique piece of artwork that is you. So yeah, I had to change my angle here just because I just think it's really enjoyable to watch a bit more closely on how the paint goes on paper. Now this paper is actually quite a cheap one. I think I will go to my art store and kind of stock up on it. It's just some paper they have from Hahnemuehle. I don't even know if it has a name on it. It's not cotton, but it is, you can see this is a block, so it doesn't really buckle as it is because it's a block, so it's gummed, it's like stuck together on all four sides. But I still found that also with gummed blocks, as opposed to pads where just one side is connected to the other papers, if the paper is not thick enough, they still buckle a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. This one doesn't at all. And as you can see, it is glorious for granulation. Now, normally these papers that are not cotton, if you do glazes, if you do a lot of layers, they're horrible. You will hate them. But if you paint in a similar way like I do, I usually have, you know, 2 or 3 layers of watercolors. And the top 2 layers are... They rarely disturb the layer underneath. They're more concentrated color. So I never have an issue with that. And it doesn't bother me. I usually also, when I add layers, I usually intensify the colors that is underneath already. So if it does lift a little bit, it doesn't matter. But, you know, if you do glazes and you want to do like a yellow glaze on a purple layer or something like that, if the purple underneath lifts, then you'll get a different effect. So if you do a lot of glazes, if you work in a lot of layers, if you work with traditional techniques, then yeah, cotton is probably the best bet for you. But if you're more into mixed media, I highly, highly encourage you to try some of the cellulose papers. Canson makes really good ones. The 300 GSM, what it's called, Montval, is a good one also for practice. And then Hahnemuehle makes fantastic cellulose papers that just have beautiful texture and handle watercolors beautifully and show off granulation. So yeah, as I said, dreamy, dreamy watercolors. So having my limited color story really makes it easy. I don't really have to think too much. If I want to add some neutrals, I have a go-to green to neutralize all my pinky corally colors. And if I want dark, I have my moon glow that I picked. So it's very easy to move around and just choose a color that serves the purpose that I want to achieve. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so, so much for watching. I'll see you soon in another video. I'm trying to get back on the horse and film more videos. At the end of the month, I'll have a new color story and maybe monthly favorites. We'll see how it goes. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful day. Be ready for some close-ups of that gorgeous granulation. Bye.